church. But please permit me to just ask you if you would please just turn to the person next to you and say to them, the future of Nigeria is inside you. The future of Nigeria that my kids will live in is inside you. The future of Nigeria that your kids will live in is inside me. And for the sake of my children, I beg of you, deliver the future. And I promise you that for the sake of your children, I make you my covenant that I will deliver the future. Give them a high five if they were able to talk about that. We must deliver a great future because we have a legacy of greatness as a nation. If any of you has ever been able to watch a video of a 1961 visit of our Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa to the United States soon after our independence, you will know that we have a legacy of greatness. And if you haven't, I plead of you before the midnight today, Google it. It's a USIS video. Many people will cry when they watch it. Some people will be challenged, but almost everyone will be moved. We have a legacy of greatness. We have been a great nation. Once, even if many people challenge the fact that we are a great nation today. It was in this great nation that I was born in 1971. And as things went very interesting for our nation, I began to get very angry at the decision of my parents to bring me back 7 months in my mother's womb from Canada. So I was conceived in Toronto, Canada, and I was received in Oluyole, Ibadan. In fact, and my mother said because my father had a dream, and in that dream he woke up and said, listen, you know what, we've got to take this one home. In fact, he told my mother that he was a boy even though they had not done any scan. I wonder what kind of dream it must have been. In fact, maybe I can requalify that. What kind of nightmare it should have been that would have made my father deceive my mom. I don't know what it is, but for many years, I used to think my father didn't like me much. And you have to understand that my father didn't really think that he was doing me any injustice when it was that I was born. In 1971, statistics will show you that on March 24, 1971, 1 Nigerian pound exchanged for $3 US. So you would need $300 US to buy 100 Nigerian pounds. But as time went by, certain things began to happen. In fact, by the time I was 5 years old, in 1976, 1 Nigerian naira was now exchanging for $1.33. Meaning you would still need $133 to buy 100 naira. And then something happened. And within a matter of 30 years, I can share a few of my thoughts about what I think happened. Within 30 years, on the same day, March 24, this time 2006, $1 is now exchanging for 133 naira. And within 10 years, on the same day, March 24, 2016, 331 naira is required to buy $1. So what could have happened in those times? Well, I would say to you that in 1976, as the child of a lecturer, living in a small 3-bedroom bungalow, no special treatment for anyone, that was my first experience of the fact that there will be a power outage. If it happened before then, I couldn't remember. But I remember the first time that light went out. And I remember my mom saying, stay where you are, stay where you are, stay where you are. Fela, yes, mommy. Jimmy, yes, mommy. Bade, yes, mommy. Stay where you are. Before she could finish saying stay where you are 5 or 6 times, light had come back. and we did not have a generator. We were not any special, no special treatment. This was the norm for everyone. Because at that time, Nigeria was a nation that worked. But as we lost power, we lost value in our currency. But that wasn't all we lost. As we lost power, we started losing good businesses. Anybody remember Bata? Leonard's? Oki Foods? Oki Biscuits, at least you remember that one. How many people remember KDK Electronics? Some people are looking at you and say you're a dinosaur. Anybody that is less than 35 will probably not remember much of the things that we're saying now. As we lost businesses, we started to lose value in our currency. Enterprise transformed from people who you could see the works of their hands, who hired labor. And all of a sudden, we started seeing people driving big cars without having any big businesses. But that wasn't all we were losing. We also were losing the value for education. And as we lost education in our schools, we lost value in our currency. But most importantly, as we lost our values as a people, we also lost our value in our currency. We went from a nation that knew what was right and what was wrong and chose to do what was right, to a nation who knew that this was wrong, but then soon started to call it all right. And you know the word all right is actually a combination of two words. It's altered right. It was wrong, but it's okay. Now we went to another dimension, where not only did we now begin to think that what was wrong was all right, we now started to label the things that used to be right as though they were wrong and punish people for it. And as we lost our values, we lost the value in our currency. But you know, I told you what our value of our nation's currency was in 1971, in 1976, in 2006 and 2016. But I like to think to myself that whilst you may not be able to change your past, your future has no right to catch you by surprise. So the real big question that I have come to ask you today is, what will the value of the Nigerian naira be against the dollar or any other currency in 2026? Now, some people are going to say, I don't know. Others may begin to hum. Wait, hold on. Que sera doesn't say anything. And whatever will be is not what will be. It's what you permit that persists. So it is what you make it that it will be. So let us be very clear. Whilst we may not be responsible for the nation that we inherited from our parents will not be responsible for the nation that our children inherit from us. That responsibility is solely ours. And we are soon running out of geriatrics. We are soon running out of 80-year-olds who we will be able to blame for the things that happen to us. Soon we will be the 50-year-olds and the 60-year-olds and the 70-year-olds. And we will soon be the ones that have to look at ourselves without holding a mirror. Because there comes a time in everyone's life where you will not be able to afford the luxury of self-deceit. And the question your children are going to ask you, and maybe even your grandchildren, is not how did we get here, but what did you do to get us here? That is why we must have an answer. And that answer is essentially what this whole conference is about. It's about being able to answer your grandchildren when they say to you, how did this happen? But more importantly, what did you do to get us here? Whatever your answer is going to be because you got involved. Because we have to remember that this thing called the human race is really it's not just a race between the Caucasian and the Asian. It's not a race between the dark-skinned person and the light-skinned person. The human race is a relay race. And every generation must be willing to run their race and understand that there comes a point where you must be able to pass the baton on to the next generation. And many people are already running overlap. Oh yes. I believe that our nation stipulates that the retirement age for those who will be in public service is 60 years old. So it's very difficult for me to understand when a 70-something-year-old